Hello students, we were discussing the plant kingdom chapter. So we have come to the last segment of the chapter. So in this segment we are going to study the plant life cycles and alternation of the generation. Okay, so after completion of all the 5 divisions from algae to angiosperms, each group is possessing its own specific or a generalized life cycle pattern. Okay, we are going to study that in this particular class. So here in plants, both haploid and diploid cells can divide by mitosis. This is very important. In cell division there are 2 types, mitosis and meiosis, isn't it? But the haploid as well as the diploid both can divide by the mitosis. That is the important thing. This forms haploid and diploid plant respectively. If the haploid cells divide by mitosis, the plant body will be haploid. If a diploid cell divides by the mitosis, the plant body will be diploid. Haploid plant body, which we call it as a gametophyte, produces the gametes by mitosis. Okay, the haploid plant body, which we call it as a gametophyte, is going to produce the gametes by the process of mitosis only. After fertilization, the zygote also divides by mitosis to produce a diploid plant body called as sporophyte. See, you have to concentrate on the type of cell division which is same in both formation of gametophyte as well as the formation of the sporophyte. Okay, if the plant body is haploid, entire plant body is haploid, the gametes are going to be produced by the process of mitosis. Okay, if the plant body is diploid, that means after fertilization the zygote itself is the diploid. If it wants to produce the gametes, meiosis has to be occur. Okay, but the zygote undergoes mitotic cell division and it is going to produce the diploid sporophytic plant body. This produces haploid spores by meiosis. Understood? So what we have to understand here, if the body of the plant is haploid, it is going to produce the gametes by mitosis. If the plant body is diploid, and it is going to produce the gametes by meiosis. Spores divide by mitosis to form a haploid plant body. See, there is a difference between spore and the gametes, but both spore and gametes both are haploid in nature. Okay, gametes cannot divide by anything, mitosis or meiosis. Gamete is the last one. Okay, like that, the spore it can be divided by the process of mitosis and it can produce a haploid plant body. Okay. Thus, during the life cycle of any sexually reproducing plant, there is an alternation of generation between gamete producing haploid gametophyte and spore producing diploid sporophyte. Okay, this is what we call as a alternation of generation. ಏನು alternation of generation ಅಂದ್ರೆ gamete producing haploid gametophyte and spore producing diploid sporophyte, both are going to be altered on a cyclical basis, but their duration may be different. Sporophytic duration may be less in one type of plant, sporophytic duration may be more in some type of plants, like that. Okay, this type of cycle we call it as a alternation of generation. Okay, based on the patterns of life cycle of the plant, we have divided total 3 types of the life cycles in case of the plants only. Okay, the first type of pattern or the first type of life cycle is called as haplontic type of life cycle or haplontic of plant life cycle. Okay, example where we are going to observe the haplontic type of life cycle, it is in case of most algae such as volvox, Spirogyra, as well as some species of the Chlamydomonas. In these 3 types of plants, we can observe the haplontic type. What is the major feature of a haplontic type of life cycle? Most algae are haplontic. That means the haplontic type of body, the entire body itself is haplontic. In such type of organisms, we can observe the haplontic type of life cycle. Okay, so in the representation you can observe the pink colored area is representing the haplontic gametophyte. Okay, and the bluish colored area is representing the diplontic sporophyte. Okay, remember or imagine the Chlamydomonas, Volvox and Spirogyra, who they are all unicellular, okay. Whatever we observe the plant body under the microscope, Chlamydomonas, Volvox or Spirogyra, what they are actually gametophytic. That means the entire body is haploid. That haplontic plant body, by the process of gametogenesis, what is gametogenesis? Production of gametes, okay. The body is haploid. By the process of gametogenesis, gametes are produced. So which process has to take place here? Mitosis or meiosis? Mitosis, okay. The gametophytic body, by the process of mitosis, produces the gametes which fuses. That process we call syngamy, okay. After that fusion, zygote is going to form, which is diploid in nature. So here the diploid zygote itself is a sporophyte in case of haplontic type of life cycle. This is peculiar point in haplontic, okay. You know, the zygote itself is representing the sporophyte in case of Chlamydomonas, Volvox, Spirogyra and all. Understood? That diplontic zygote will undergo meiosis again. Zygotic meiosis will occur and it forms the haploid spores. Those spores will germinate and form a new gametophyte. The important thing is, in most of the organisms in the world, zygote will undergo mitosis to form a new organism. But in case of this type of algae as well as in case of some fungi, the zygote will undergo meiosis, okay. This is the peculiarity, meiosis, and forms the haploid spores, isn't it? If meiosis occurs in any structure, either gametes are formed or spores are formed, okay. In case of this zygote, the spores are going to be formed. This is regarding the haplontic type of life cycle. Second one is called as the diplontic type of life cycle. What is diplontic? So the most span of the life cycle of that particular organism is diplontic, and the gametophytic cycle or the gametophytic segment is very limited, okay. It is limited to only certain number of cells or certain amount of time, okay. So you can observe here, the best example is an alga fucus. Fucus is an example for diplontic type of life cycle. One more important thing, all seed bearing plants. Which are those all seed bearing plants? Gymnosperm and angiosperm, okay. Both gymnosperm and angiosperm, both are example for haplontic type of life cycle. In a gymnosperm and angiosperm, the dominant plant body is sporophyte, okay. Sporophyte, by meiosis, what it is going to produce? Gametes, isn't it? So that gametes will get fuses. That process we call syngamy. Zygote is going to form. Again zygote is going to develop into a sporophyte. So what we have to concentrate here, only this area, that means only the gametes are representing the haplontic type or the haplontic segment in the entire life cycle of these organisms or these plants, okay. Only the gametes are representing the haplontic phase, remaining all it is diplontic. So this is about the diplontic type of life cycle. Next one, the third type of cycle is haplodiplontic type of life cycle. Haplodiplontic. It is exhibited by bryophytes and pteridophytes and also exhibited by algae like Ectocarpus, Polysiphonia and kelps. So what is haplodiplontic type of life cycle? There are two conditions. One is regarding the bryophyte, another one is regarding the pteridophyte. First we'll talk about the bryophytes. Bryophyte, the main plant body in case of bryophyte, it was a gametophyte which was haploid, okay. Again by gametogenesis it is going to produce the gametes. Due to that gametes they will fuse and zygote is going to form. That zygote is developed into a sporophyte, okay, which is multicellular. Again that sporophyte, meiosis occurs, spores are produced, and again a new gametophyte is going to form. This is regarding the bryophyte. Like that, if you observe the pteridophyte, the main plant body is sporophyte, it is independent, okay. That sporophyte is by meiosis it is going to produce the spores. That spores germinates and produce a gametophyte. the gametophyte of pteridophyte is called as prothallus, isn't it? Again, that prothallus is multicellular, where gametogenesis occurs, gametes are produced, syngamy occurs, zygote is formed, and again a sporophyte is going to be produced. Understood? So total 3 types of life cycle: haplontic, diplontic, and haplodiplontic. So in the examination, it's a 2 marks question. They will ask you to explain haplontic type of life cycle or explain diplontic type of life cycle, or else for 1 marks they may ask you to write the examples for type of life cycle. Okay, you have to remember this cycle, as well as you have to remember one example for each. Understood? And this completes the chapter plant kingdom. Try to recall all the concept whatever we have studied, starting from the algae till the plant life cycles. Okay, and it's very important chapter, and you have to study characters individually for each division, and it's a 5 marks question in the annual examination. At least you will get 1 question from this chapter, as well as many small segments are like the life cycle patterns, uses of algae, uses of bryophytes and all. Okay, thank you.